All right, welcome to the Elephant in the Room podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Caesar.
And this is Matt. We're going to crush it again with some truth, bringing some darkness out into the light.
So we're going to be talking about the election today because we got a couple weeks. Actually, what is it, a week left?
Yeah, it's next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday. Boy, all right. So the way it's looking, there's no way Donnie's not going to win. I think it's pretty obvious that he's going to win. Because, I mean, if you just look at, even though I have a lot of respect for him, Patrick Bet David made a pretty good point in regards to how Kamala was in the that one podcast, what is it? So Call Me Daddy podcast. It had I think 700,000 views in 3 weeks. And this even though Rogan's the top podcast in the world, Trump's been on there for 3 days and it's at over, I think, about 30 million views already.
Well, you do have to take into account that podcasting still only targets the specific demographic of this country. And,
that's true.
And plus, Kamala, she's going to get the advantage with all the illegal votes, because we do know there's going to be some illegal voting in this election, that they are going to try to steal it. The Democrats are going to try to steal it and be up to their dirty tricks. But it's just a matter of what's up at the very top of the chain.
It's interesting, though. I think we should both clarify, correct me if I'm wrong, man, but we both think that they're both controlled by this exact same group of people.
Most likely, yes. Like I said, there could always be a side of faith and true light at the very end of it all that could be guiding one of these forces. Although just when you think it's that way, you really have to check and put a balance into the darkness that is still lingering within both parties and dominates on the surface.
Well, I don't know if you watched. Did you watch Trump with on Rogan?
I probably will not see that at this point, because I just find what is more fascinating to learn about are all these mystery school teachings that Bill Cooper presented way back in 1993.
No, absolutely. It's completely tied in together. But I was watching some of the interview with Trump, and he kind of made I think for the majority of the time when he was being asked questions, Rogan was pretty much just having to reel him back in to answering the question, because he would kind of go off on a tangent. And
that's
the one thing does. Yeah, absolutely. He's actually funny. He's pretty funny. But the interesting thing that he did kind of talk about was what it was like being president, and how the majority of the people there are just trying to survive as politicians. And so there's essentially you're surrounded by people that are completely for the system. So it's just so it was pretty much implying how everyone is so compromised in the political world, because otherwise they wouldn't even be able to survive, and they would be essentially beat by the outside forces, more than likely being lobbying.
Well, that's just so sad. I think it also has to do with the fact they've really pledged loyalty to some other entity other than God. Because, I mean, still just fighting for the common good of the people. We think that we could, if it was up to us, even if our life was on the line, our family's on the line, we think still that we would just fight for justice. But these people just really are too much of cowards. It seems, even if they're compromised or blackmailed, they're going to value their financial assets, and they don't really care about sacrificing the health of the country.
Yeah, so let's get into this whole mystery religions, and I guess where we're at, because I guess the reason why we're covering it is because the mystery religions and the occult knowledge is behind the curtain. It's like Wizard of Oz. It's who's behind the curtain and what they believe. Not what we believe, but what they believe. They, as in the powers that be, the people who are behind the scenes running things. And so you have to be able to understand what these people believe to understand what they're doing and why they do the things that they do. The number one way they communicate is symbols. So the majority of the public gets told what symbols mean, the symbols that they see for either corporations or for foundations. I'll give you a good example, like Red Cross. What does the Red Cross really mean? Where does that come from? It comes from the Knights Templar. Or there's also the Knights Hospilators. I don't know if you know about that. That's another secret organization that was during the same time in the Crusades. And so it's just an example of how most people don't pay attention to the symbols that are everywhere that have all such an impact. And all these mystery religions goes back into ancient times, probably all the way back to Babylon, right?
And even before that, Babylon, I believe, was after Egypt. It was, and because it was.
Oh yeah.
But it is very old, way to like before 1894 BC.
So what me and Matt are referencing here is a 40-hour series done by William Cooper, who's I'd say he's like the godfather of conspiracies, and he wrote the famous book Behold the Pale Horse, which is all about conspiratorial subject matter, particularly about secret societies and how they work, and then goes into more metaphysical alien sort of thing. We'll link the video below in regards to the series, because everybody should check it out. We should also, if we can, Ryan, and we could send we could pull up the cult of Baal, because essentially what this whole 40-hour series is really covering the cult of Baal, and Baal being a deity that was worshipped back by the Canaanites, the satanic deity, if I'm correct.
Yes, these bloodthirsty, sacrificial rulers that tricked and deceived their people.
Oh, Ryan, if you go on Google and type in cult of Baal map and then on images and zoom in on that, just oh yeah, there we go, like that. The fourth one over off the top. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, if you can zoom in on that, that is nice. Okay, so that's a really complex map, especially if you're just now getting to this sort of subject matter. But it does an excellent job of covering everything, because essentially, just for argument's sake, let's assume everything this map is saying is true in regards to how these people in power worship their own mystery religion. This essentially shows you what starts and the rebranding and connection it has with all of these groups like the Jesuits, the Knights Templar, Freemasons, Skull and Bones, Rosicrucians, Trilateral Commission, Club of Rome, Knights of Malta. You can just keep going and going and going. But this goes back into history, So, and it shows the connection, because so at the top it talks about like the Canaanites, right? And then how that's connected to the pharaohs of Egypt, and also he goes into Babylon, and then eventually ties into the Vatican. So that's why you need to know about these secret societies and mystery religions, because it's like the actual history that you're not told.
But it's all out there. I mean, we're not just presented it in a way that will make us question and open our minds to how we're being deceived and lied to each day, with all the news stories and events that keep the world divided and just kind of
let's get into it. Let's get into it specifically. Not sorry to cut you off, but really quick, Israel is like one of the best examples of it all, because talks about the foundation of the name Israel and how it's the IS for ISIS, the RA for Ra, for like Amen Ra, and then L for that's the Canaanite god, right?
L, I believe so.
The L, the god, he's a deity. Yeah, L was because it goes. L was the supreme god of the Canaanites, and then if you go to modern day, like where is Canaan, or it was Israel. And why is that connected is because if you look at what Israel's doing and how much power Israel has in regards to lobbying and controlling the U.S. government, it's like a microcosm of the elites and what they're doing to regular people. So, like, look at the election. Both candidates are blatantly Zionists.
And as soon as you think that one is trying to like call for a ceasefire and peace, you have one of its louder supporters just screaming out, "Go Israel! I'm with the Israelis, fuck the Palestinians," and that type of rhetoric. I mean, look at all the here at Madison Square Garden where Trump was trying to have a fun MAGA rally. You have Rudy Giuliani coming in there, just shouting so many racist slabs at the Palestinian people. Just
And
trying
it's so
to.
obvious. It really comes down to it is black and white of watching just how the IDF operates. Like there was a video last week of a Palestinian kid and how his family goes to like try to rescue him. Right? They wait for his family to go and rescue him, and then they drop a bomb, blowing them all up.
What's the video?
You have to go on X to find that one, but all of a sudden you're like, this is crazy. Like you're watching a kid who just got shot, like a 7-year-old kid who just got shot, and the IDF waiting for his family to come rescue him so they could blow him all up. Like that tells you everything. Here, let's see if I can find it. It's pretty easy on X. Is it this one? Let's see. There's also a specific example. I forget. There's this little girl who they did a very similar thing to. It was they shot up this van, and there's a little girl who was in there. She was pretty much, they were gonna try to rescue her, and the IDF prevented it, and they just let her like bleed out and die because the IDF was like stopping. I mean, dude, like we don't have to, like, let's just get more blatant. Like this is the army where politicians were arguing that in favor of raping Palestinian prisoners. The IDF was fucking raping Palestinian prisoners. And then one of the guys who was behind it was paraded around talk shows in Israel. Generally, when you say, "Oh, it's the government, it's not the people," this is not true. Like that's how the Israeli society is crazy. It's not just Netanyahu. There's more right wingers that he's now associated in who are more radical than him in the government. But it's the majority of the population, the Israeli population. You can find here. Look this up, Ryan. Type in Abby Martin interviews Israelis. She interviews Israelis and Palestinians. This is like 10, 12 years ago. And she asks random Palestinians what it's like living and like what they would like if they agreed to two-peace deal agreement or whatever it's called. But yeah, this one is fucking crazy. Fast forward a bit. Go like 5 minutes in. Go like 5 minutes in. All right, like go back. Go back a little bit. Go right here. All right. Random Israelis. Ready? Just absolutely random Israelis. Ready? Just getting interviewed. See what they think.
Anyone. Here we know who our enemy is, and we know that they are out to get us.
Who is the enemy?
Who's the enemy? That's a very good question. I don't think it's specifically any nation. I think it's the people that are so interested in being politically correct that they won't actually go after the people that are trying to cover things up.
All right, fast forward a little bit. Go like, oh, okay, this guy's good. He's a good example.
the Islam is it's a very bad disease, not just for Israel, for all around the
All right, now
world.
to jump in
You
like
can see
maybe like
it.
a minute and a half.
They all have to be Islam. If you're not Islam, they will kill you.
A lot of Americans don't really understand what
Yeah,
Israel
jump in a little bit. Go a little forward. Yeah, that's good right there.
יש לך משהו להגיד, היא אומרת על מה? על מה? גם ככה ערבים, מקסימום.
אוקיי, בסדר בעברית? פשוט מאוד, צריך להיכנס לשטחים, וכל מחבל שעושה פיגוע צריך להרוג אותו, צריך להרוג את המחבלים, ואז הם יפחדו ולא יעשו לנו בעיות, והכל יהיה בסדר. הם יהיו בכפרים שלהם, אנחנו נחיה פה, לא צריך להיות ביחד, והכל בסדר.
I think also that
Well, yeah, let this guy talk. Let this guy talk.
every Arab that doing a terrorism attack, we have to kill him, and not because he's an Arab, because he's a terrorist. I think you should also kick out the family, because it's all begins with chinuch. I would say
Education.
whatever they teach.
Okay, so the funny thing is that nobody talks about is how Israel completely helped fund Hamas and how it benefits Israel for Hamas to be in power, because it completely justifies them committing genocide.
There's still some protests that are going on in Israel today that are in very mass sizes that are denouncing all of Netanyahu's policy.
Well, yeah, that's true, but that's also because Netanyahu was facing major corruption charges, which is why it benefits him to keep the war going on, because then he stays in power.
Yeah, and he coincidentally he left his position of power a few years ago on June 13th, which was the day leaving 201 days left in the year, and then he came back to power on December 29th, 2022, and 1,229 is the 201st prime number. And this thing, that gematria that I'll be bringing up throughout the podcast, 201 is a very special number, and perhaps the number of the Cabal, the Illuminati, the State of Israel, and the Jesuit order. And that happened to be also Albert Pike's birthday, December 29th. Who
someone we're always
about.
we're always going to be referencing Albert Pike, who is a third degree Freemason. And do you remember really quick? Do you know why, like how William Cooper was talking about how the only reason it goes up to 33rd degree, it has to do with like
the 3 degrees between 30 and 3, because
but that doesn't that tie into the sunlight or whatever.
30 degrees, it has to do with like a 30-degree solar system. I know Saturn has like a 30-day return when it comes to Saturn worship.
Oh no, it's in astrology. 30 degrees is the maximum number of degrees that a planet or sign can have on the zodiac wheel.
Okay.
And so that's why, like,
because 30 times 12 is 360 degrees. Yes. Get our simple math together here. Yeah, time is very important in all this. And understanding history too. Circles and cycles. That's how history is a pattern. Like, we get all these events just going over and over again. They're on the same continuation.
Yeah, and then it's interesting because it was talking about in the third episode was talking about Egyptian magic and how magic isn't what people think it is. Magic is really the understanding of the really deep understanding of natural law.
And once you understand it, it's really, it's not magic at all. It's just science and physics.
Yeah, like a good example, like a good analogy is words and how it's called spelling, because words are actually casting a spell. Because if you say, for example, something positive to a person, you're casting a positive spell on that person, which is why they resonate and they feel positive about it. But if you say something negative, you can make someone feel negative and you're casting a negative spell. But obviously it depends on if the person cares about what you say. Or if they're like, if they're like completely a balanced individual, because obviously you come across in the extreme, unless a sociopath that doesn't really He's kind of an anomaly in that sense, I guess.
Yeah, spellcasting is very powerful and is very real. It's definitely a everyday trick used by the occult and so many people. And just be careful with what you say. Sometimes you have one thing in your mind and you get the exact opposite.
Yeah,
So karma.
there's a lot of absolutely. There's a lot of metaphysical elements at play that people aren't aware of because we're not taught to be aware of. That's essentially the difference between regular people and the elite and what they get taught. And that's why knowing about the occult and mystery of religions, which is information these people share in their secret society.
Some people are speculating that Kamala Harris is a satanic witch, and a lot of these witches that are worshiping against Trump are really just sabotaging her campaign. That is what is going on. But we'll find out on election day if she succeeds or not, because she probably she most likely represents the whore of Babylon. I mean, if you take a look, compare her dress and pearls on Inauguration Day, or purple dress and gold pearls or white pearls to Lisa Simpson in a Simpsons episode, and then tie that in the book of Revelation that introduces us to the whore of Babylon. And the Revelation says, "And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication." That is Revelation 17:4.
Interesting.
Yes. And what's interesting about that is that on that debate Kamala had with Donald Trump on September 10th, that was 174 days after Willie Brown's birthday. And a lot of people agree that Kamala Harris made her way to the top simply by sucking off Willie Brown.
Yeah. Actually, it's funny. I have a friend who's he's pretty aware of occult information and stuff, but he's, I guess, very overly, in my opinion, overly sympathetic towards Trump. But he sent me that video of a podcast episode that came out today with Candace Owens, and it's about Candace Owens apparently is interviewing this Japanese journalist who is claiming that Kamala was actually used to be married to this Canadian billionaire, and how her mom is part of MK Ultra. And I haven't watched it yet, but it's interesting. What is it? It's like the man helped. The episode just came out. It's like the man helped Kamala Harris. Then he
whoever's typing this entire time, take your phone off vibrate, because every time your phone vibrates when you click the key, you can be heard. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Go ahead.
It's possible.
Yeah. Damn it. I totally got lost. I forgot about that. Why was I bringing it up? I totally lost what I was fucking saying.
You were talking about this interview, Candace Owens, about MK Ultra.
Yeah, how her mom was involved with MK Ultra, and how she's pretty much an industry plant, which makes a lot of sense because she's completely incompetent. And if you look at her track record, she should have been completely finished after Tulsi Gabbard exposing the fact that while she was district head of the district attorney in California, she extended people's sentences on minorities for drug offenses, and then would use a lot of those people.
Yeah, they've been doing that for a long time. Well, because that's a tough job.
She's on money.
And here we have on the Republican side, the vice presidential candidate has an Indian wife, and so it does bring a lot of cultural diversity into this next election. And you really have to like Hindu goddesses.
J.D. Vance being, Peter Thiel's protege, fucking CIA guy. There's a whole funny thing. Is, I guess was my point was that my buddy sent me that Kamala, or the Candace Owens exposing Kamala, which I believe. I do believe she's deep state for all you Trump fans. But let me ask Trump supporters something. If this is really what it comes down to. It's like, yeah, Kamala's deep state, but how do you expect to believe that Donnie's not deep state when he picks a protege CIA guy and the CIA is deep state? And then look at Trump's background. Mentor Roy Cohn, who's a mob lawyer, for the Jewish mob. Guy goes to a Jesuit college, converts to Judaism in 2017, has Jared Kushner doing backdoor deals for Israel and Saudi Arabia. But yeah, don't worry, this guy's going to come in and not work for the same people.
I just want to make sure, Ryan, are keys being heard right now? Typing?
No, you're good.
No, you're good.
Okay.
Wait.
Yeah, I mean,
No, now they are.
start typing.
Yeah, I can hear it.
Okay. So yeah, I saw the option turning off the keys.
Yeah,
So
why do you have them on? Why do you want the keys on anyway?
I turned it off. It says it's off, but it's weird that you're still hearing it.
It's okay.
So,
It's
yeah.
okay because
Wait,
it'll
hold on,
mostly,
can you
it'll
guys
mostly
hear
get
this?
edited out.
Can you guys hear this? Hold on, I'm just curious though. Can you guys hear that?
No.
Exactly. All right, cool.
It's okay. It'll mostly get edited out. It's just that just in case some parts of it don't. So, that's all.
Okay, yeah. But anyways, regarding Trump, like how most likely he is or is not a part of this club, it is interesting. A lot of these photo shoots he gets with like certain unpopular figures to the occult, like some celebrities he smiles with, others he looks very upset with. And what does that like entail? For example, when he met Pope Francis on the 144th day of 2017, he gave the Pope a lotus flower, and Kamala is a translation of lotus in the Hindi culture. And as you might learn, the lotus flower blooms from June through August, and June was when Kamala came to the forefront of the presidential race. And then August is, kind of like at her peak. The beginning of September was the debate. Or it's even August through September, the lotus flower blooms, and now she's kind of been a train wreck ever since.
Yeah, you guys see how apparently Rogan came out and said today that they have got in contact with the Kamala administration, whatever, you know what I mean, the campaign people. And they said that, here, I'll read the actual fucking tweet, but it's pretty much she agreed to do the show for, all right, here we go. Because he was talking about how Rogan tweets, since there was an issue with searching for the episode on YouTube, here's the full podcast with Trump. Because you have to like really specifically search for that episode. So anyway, then he also posted right under, also for the record, the Harris campaign has not passed on doing the podcast. They offered a date for Tuesday, but I would have had to travel to her, and they only wanted to do an hour. I strongly feel the best way to do it in the studio is in Austin. My sincere wish is just to have a nice conversation, get to know her as a human being. I really hope we can make it happen. It's fucking hilarious that she only wants to do an hour. Not surprising though.
Yeah, that's what they always want to do. They always want to add so many conditions. This like tactic by these groups of people.
It beats the whole purpose of the whole thing. It's just like the whole podcast. Our podcast is the whole point of that is to do more than an hour.
Well, they don't understand. That's why that 60 minutes interview with Kamala received so much heat, because it was so edited and they did such a poor job because there was so much they had to take out, because it's likely Kamala is just like a clone program. She can't do anything much more. Like, she just freezes up a lot and it has to be all completely scripted. Is that what we're going against? Is it really like a human being versus just a automated program? Is that what they're trying to expose subliminally with Elon Musk says certain things and they are part of some sort of mystery school that's supposed to bring about this like new age of the new Atlantis, which is America and the 47th president? The MAGA crew they're the ones that are really bringing out the 47 number and cheering it on. Whereas Kamala, of course she's surrounded by like big banks and crony capitalists, but her idea for the American people, it does seem very socialist and godless.
It's hilarious to me how they asked her. It was Anderson Cooper. They asked her how her administration would be different from Biden. She couldn't really answer the question.
Yeah, she even proudly admitted on a talk show that she would not do a single thing different for an administration.
Yeah. The next week's gonna be wild. Either way, it's just like looking at it. It's just like if you put a gun to my head, I'd vote Trump, but don't ask him to be happy about it. Like, just don't ask him to be happy about it. Because either way, it's fucked.
He did
Either
receive
way, Israel wins either way. So and why that's so significant? Like, look, it's funny because my whole problem with Democrats is that they pretend to be the left when they're not the left. But ironically, what's happening now is the Republicans or the MAGA people are pretending to be America first when they're not America first. They're Israel first. And if you're Israel first, you can't be America first. So don't fucking pretend that you are, because you're not. Okay?
What do you think about that MSG rally? Does it remind you at all about that Nazi party rally in 1939? I mean, that probably was one of the most energetic Trump rallies we've seen to date. And I mean, it was very openly, proudly racist. But it was a jokingly racist, still awfully offensive.
In what regard? Because of what Giuliani said, or?
And what Tony Hinchcliffe said?
Yeah, but Tony was joking around. I mean, it was all right, whatever. My whole thing on Trump, and I don't know, this whole comparison with Hitler. Oh, this is what I was going to say. So Trump, if Trump's going to be compared to anything, to anybody, it should be compared to Vladimir Lenin, and how Trump implied that he was going to make laws for people who made anti-Semitic criticism, which that completely is unconstitutional. And is also very similar to Lenin and the Bolsheviks, and how when the Bolsheviks got in power, Lenin made laws against anti-Semitic criticism.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an expert on these protected groups of people. I know, I mean, it makes sense to give the Jews some sort of protection after the Holocaust, and they are considered a protected group of people. And to some degree, indigenous people are too, and blacks are. But it's also, he, once again, in Michigan last night at his rally, he received a lot of support from Muslim leaders, surprisingly. I mean, Michigan has like a huge population of Muslims. For some reason, whatever reason, they're definitely on his side. The Arab League, founded on 322, just like how this year on 322, the Skull and Bones Day, and their 79th birthday, there was a large false flag attack in Moscow, Russia, that was blamed on ISIS.
So, well, okay. So let's. What's your take on the election? What's going to happen? Is Donnie going to take it real easy? What do you think?
I think he definitely has the momentum. Like, as soon as you leave any major U.S. city, it's pure Trump country. And even in these cities, there's still a lot of closeted Trump people who are voting for Trump, black and all sorts of ethnic groups. So, I mean, Kamala is really just, she's kind of detracting voters. She was she went to a black barbershop the other day, and they were pretty upset that she was there because she was breaking a code of guys only, ladies forbidden facility. And she just, did her typical, just laughed away at that, swung around the chair like a little bitchy boss. Like she controlled them all. They were the slaves.
What do you think the chances are there is a false flag event here?
Well, it is going to be on the 11/5. Remember the 5th of November, Guy Fawkes Day.
Oh, that's true. Does the election usually fall on November 5th?
Well, it's just the second November, or the first Tuesday of November.
Shit, that's wild. That is a wild fucking date.
2016, it was 11/2. 2020, it was 11/3.
Wow, it is going to fall on the 5th of November. Remember, the 5th of November. All right, guys, well, hope that'd be a good day to meet back up. Let us know on the comments below what you guys think.
Yeah, I mean, there were some interesting fireworks. Some early ballots were burned in suspected firework attacks in Washington, Oregon yesterday. Is that just a little microcosm of something larger to happen? Fireworks going off and violence on Election Day, or is it just going to be all peaceful with a smooth transition?
Yeah,
either way, someone's going to
stay vigilant.
Someone's going to be screaming cheater.
I don't know. I don't see. I'd be shocked if Donnie doesn't win. It'd also be more terrifying if Kamala wins, because either way, Israel will be celebrating. But from a geopolitical standpoint, some crazy shit happened there too. I guess we should talk about that for a second. Yeah, Israel launched an attack on Iran. They didn't really hit any. What was it? They didn't hit any of their defensive air posts. It didn't really hurt Iran at all. And Israel also stopped its ground invasion in southern Lebanon. But northern Israel is still extremely vulnerable. Still a lot to cover. We should do an entire episode on just the geopolitical situation with Israel and Ukraine.
Yeah, the whole all their history and relations, the new his area.
Yeah, new his area. Yeah, maybe we'll cover that. Cover the election next Tuesday. We'll see. We'll keep everybody posted. All right, everybody have a good night.